Hi boys and girls, welcome to Miss Grant's Reading Rug. I'm Miss Grant and today we're going to read a story from my big special bag. Come see what today's story is. Oh, it's called The Wild Christmas Reindeer and it's by Jan Brett. Let's start this one right away. Tika was excited and a little afraid. This year, Santa had asked her to get the reindeer ready to fly on Christmas Eve. Tika had never done this before and she wanted everything to be perfect. At Santa's winter farm, everyone's mind was on Christmas. The workshop was alive with the sounds of saws sawing, hammers hammering, and brushes painting, so the toys and presents would be ready for delivery on Christmas Eve. That meant it was time for Tika to find the reindeer. The reindeer had been out on the tundra wild and free since last Christmas, and Tika would have to lead them back to Winter Farm to train. She would have to be strong and firm with Bramble and Heather, Windswept and Lichen, Snowball, Crag, Twilight, and Tundra. Tika took a deep breath and shouted, "Let's go! Move, move, move!" The reindeer were curious about this loud creature. They let her herd them together and headed back toward Winter Farm, but Tundra wasn't happy. Tika didn't know that he liked to stay next to Twilight, but she was running near the front while he was in the rear. When they got to the barn, Tika put them in different stalls. The next morning when Tika went into the barn, all the reindeer were upset. Lichen was annoyed with Crag, who kept nipping him. Bramble was stomping so much she drove Heather wild. And Twilight kept calling out to Tundra, who was just plain angry and stamping his hooves. They all wanted to be outside. Tika groomed the reindeer so they would look sleek and glossy for Santa. She brushed and combed their coats and pulled at their tangled manes. She brushed so long and hard that their ears started to turn pink. Ouch! Then Tika took the reindeer outside. She tried to stand them in two lines and put on their harnesses, but they wouldn't stay lined up. Tundra was at the back with Heather instead of at the front with Twilight, so he kicked out at Heather, who then bolted into Bramble. Tika scolded the reindeer. "Don't move!" she cried, but they all ran off wild-eyed and she had to go after them and bring them back. The next day, Tika harnessed the reindeer in the barn before taking them out into the snow. She tried to steer them first to the left and then to the right. To make the sleigh fly, they would need to pull together smoothly, but everything went wrong. Tundra crashed into Heather, Snowball blew up at Bramble, Windswept knocked over Twilight, and then Lichen locked antlers with Crag. Oh! "Stop!" Tika cried as she watched the reindeer paw the air. "Unhook!" she shouted as they tried to free their long antlers. Then Lichen and Crag fell over into the snow. The harder they pulled, the more their antlers locked. The reindeer were frantic. Tundra and Heather rushed to help, but the antlers did not break free. Windswept nudged at Lichen, and Bramble ran to help Crag. But the more they tried to help, the more they got tangled up themselves. Tika wailed, "Oh, please, it's almost Christmas Eve!" But the reindeer were all stuck together. Tika looked at the tangled reindeer, once so bold and free, and began to cry. "I'm sorry," she said. "I've spent all my time yelling at you instead of helping." And one by one, she gave each reindeer a hug. "Tomorrow," she said, "we'll go to work in a new way. No yelling and no bossing. I promise. Let me try to help you get free." The reindeer liked this kinder voice. Heather's eyes sparkled. Crag cracked a grin. Bramble giggled and Snowball sighed. Tundra laughed and Twilight smiled. The more they laughed, the more they shook. And as they shook, their antlers rattled and rubbed. Spring, spring, sprung! The antlers jiggled free! Yay! Quietly, Tika led the reindeer back to the barn. She sleeked their coats, she gently brushed their ears and combed out their manes. Tundra nuzzled her cheek. The next day, the reindeer lined up with Twilight and Tundra in the lead. They practiced turning left and right. Tika directed them softly. Tundra pulled with Twilight. Bramble was gentle to Lichen. Windswept helped Heather, and Snowball nestled against Crag. Together they practiced long and hard. Soon it was getting dark, and they saw Santa standing by the sleigh, piled high with presents and ready to go. Now the reindeer were ready too, and Tika led them to the sleigh. Santa smiled and nodded his thanks. Then he climbed aboard. He waved to Tika as the wild reindeer rose together and carried the sleigh off into the night. And then look, Tika went to the barn and went to sleep. She must have been so tired after all that work. I'm glad she was finally nice to the reindeer. Thank you guys for reading this fun book with me today. I had fun with you. Don't forget, tell your grown-ups to subscribe to my channel so you guys can come back to Miss Grant's Reading Rug anytime you want for more stories and songs. Bye for now. Merry Christmas.